Let me ask you something. When was the last time you had a full day off without worrying about a client, a deliverable, or a call? If your business is running you ragged, it's not your clients, it's your model. Today, we're talking about why your business might be physically draining you and how a one to many offer can give you back your time and your life. Hey there, it's Latoya, and this is the first episode in the four-part series that I'm calling The Cost of Doing Business the Hard Way. And we're kicking it off with this first episode with what I call the physical cost, the hours, the fatigue, and the energy it takes to serve one-on-one clients nonstop. Because let's be real, if your calendar is booked solid, it might look successful, right? Because you're busy, but it feels like burnout. Or if it's not burnout yet, it will be soon. So here's the thing. Like too many of us have built businesses that truly don't feel any different from the jobs that we left. If you had a job like me, then you know that was stressful, okay? Like I was just talking to a friend of mine. Was it a friend of mine? Hold on, I don't even remember. To be honest, I don't even remember who I was talking to. But either way, I was saying how when I worked my corporate job, that I worked long hours and between like the commute to work and from work and then being at work, like I didn't have time for much of anything else, right? Not to mention like when I was at work, and you might be feeling this too, of like being on back to back calls or constantly responding to emails, or in your case, it could be responding to clients and, kind of ending every day exhausted, right? And okay, look, friend, that's not the freedom that I think you signed up for, right? That's another full time job. But in this situation, you can't just clock out like you can that job, that corporate job you might have had. So this matters because you didn't build your business to burn out. You didn't build your business to feel exhausted every day. You built your business to live. And I want to tell you, like, when I think about my corporate job that I left, I was literally just telling the person who braided my hair, I literally was just telling her how when I worked my 9 to 5 job, and I said, we say 9 to 5, corporate job, my corporate job, because I did not work 9 to 5, okay? Maybe more like 7 to 7 or 7 to 8 or, 8 to 9. Yeah, there was no 9 to 5 really in sight. I don't think ever in sight, okay? But I was telling her, like, when I worked that job, like, I would be exhausted every day because I was, number one, I had to commute to work every day. So, I mean, I was like an hour, hour and a half, depending on traffic, just getting to work, not to mention doing that same trick back home. Then, when I was at work, I was constantly on calls, or I was constantly, in my inbox, emailing people. I was always, or somebody was always coming to my desk. And so, even now, like when I think about how different my life is, like when I think about, and this is what I was telling my hair braider, I was like, my husband doesn't even know that side of me. He never knew me working outside of the house, right? He's only known me working from home. And even though I have really worked hard to not build my business in the same way that my job was, right? There are moments where I was feeling it. Like I was feeling those same feelings that I felt when I was working my 9 to 5. So let's just get into it, right? So in this episode, we're really going to be breaking down like that physical burnout and what that looks like in your business. So we talked about like Zoom calls, right? So that Zoom fatigue that you feel, or just video calls, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be Zoom, but the fatigue of being on a call with your clients day in and day out, back to back calls, right? And then and this is actually something that this comes into my mind, is like, even when I think about when I was in my corporate job, my boss, sometimes I would be like, I was in charge of her calendar. I was her executive assistant. And so I would block times for her to like go to the restroom or to just have breathing room, right? But I oftentimes would think, and or I would even talk to her about it, but in my head I would just be like, how does she have time to do anything? Like, how does she never can get work done because she's on back-to-back calls. Like, you're on calls and you're responding and you're in activation mode because you're on these calls the whole time. But then when you get back into your office or you get back to your desk, it's like you only have like a few minutes before you have to get on the next call. And some of you are doing that in your business where you're in back-to-back client calls. Or what about the times when you're just in reaction mode, right? Something is happening and you just have to like get work done for your clients or within your business, and you don't have time to even lead an online audience, lead your team, right? Because your days are spent in reaction mode. Let alone, like, we're not even gonna talk about like being able to do something physically outside of work hours, right? Like, do you even have time to go for a walk? Do you have time to go for a workout? Do you have time to go and sit and read a book, right? Or just to be human and just chill and relax and watch TV? Are you physically able to do that? Or have you built a business that has just drained you? And so now you're just too exhausted to do anything. And so when you close that laptop, you're like, let me eat something and go to bed, right? Or what about like even just the time, the physical time restraints that you have, and like being able to serve one client at a time, right? What if you could serve more clients, right? Like serving 10 clients in an hour instead of 10 clients in 10 hours. I mean, that's a dream for me, right? Because you love your clients, of course, right? You wouldn't be doing what you do if you did not love them. But if you could serve 10 clients in an hour instead of the 10 hours that you're currently spending serving those same 10 clients, wouldn't you want something different? Wouldn't you want less delivery, right? And just more white space? Because like, if you're feeling, not just thinking about the time, right? If you're feeling that time, 10 clients get 1 hour each of your time, that also means that there might be a deliverable attached to each of those clients. So even if you're a coach, right? You know, you might prepare for the call with your client. You might have to do a post. I was going to say post-op, but maybe not a post-op, but you know what I mean. Like, you might have a deliverable or something after the call, something you want to send them, a recap, whatever, right? Or if you're doing retainer, right? You get on the call with your retainer client, and then now you've got to do some work that comes out of that call, right? And that happens for each of your clients, right? That's physically draining on you, right? Because you have to be in constant delivery mode and you have to constantly be on for each of those clients, right? So what if instead of serving that one client or each client each hour, what if you could cut down the number of hours you spent serving your clients? So the 10 clients in the 1 hour, like, what would you do with an extra 15 hours a week, right? Would you take Fridays off like I do, even though I'm working on a Saturday? But that's because I choose to. Okay, I manage my time, right? which is the beauty of creating a business that is flexible. Because, yeah, most of the time I take Fridays off and sometimes I work on Saturdays, but it's not every Saturday, right? It's sometimes, and it's intentional. It's for a reason, right? Like if I know that, okay, next week I've got to take my dad to the doctor, or I got to do something for my mom, I got to do something for my husband, then I can move and shift things around so that it fits me. But that's me building a business that works for me physically, right? And so you get to, when you build a business that way, you finally get to breathe and have breathing room to feel like a human being, to feel like I am not just some robot. I'm not just some coach. I'm not just some service provider here to serve my clients, but like I'm building something that feels good to me, but then also does serve my clients, right? Being able to have fewer live calls means that you can do other things in your life, like take a parent or a child to a doctor's appointment, right? Or just being able to just like, hey, being more productive, right? Having one session and serving multiple clients at the same time. I mean, that's increasing your productivity. That's just being more efficient and being more strategic in how you use your time, right? And one thing that this is one that I think is probably really near and dear to my heart is, number one, you are really saving hours. Like when you start trying to capitalize on your time, you're serving more than one client at a time. That helps you to be very consistent, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like very specific in what you can offer, which definitely eliminates that scope creep, right? Especially for me, like if you're a service provider and doing retainer clients, like kind of doing a hodgepodge or ad hoc of whatever, scope creep is going to come in, right? So it's like, just think about the physical restraints that you're putting on yourself by having a business model where you're just serving your client one client at a time. And here's the thing. I am not by any means saying that you never can do one-on-one work. That is not what I'm saying, because I love doing one-on-one work. I feel like I might have said it in a previous episode. This is not me. Like, I don't think I would ever take away doing one-on-one work. I mean, if I'm able to physically do it, if I have the capacity to do it, there's always going to be a place for one-on-one work in my business, because I love being able to build those relationships. I love being able to feel like I am part of my client's business, right? So I'm not saying to take that away, but what I am saying is that those should be more one-offs, right? Working with your one-on-one client, working one-on-one with your client, should be more like one-off stuff, right? So it's like, you don't want to continue to build a business that just requires all of your time to be successful, right? That's the only way that you're going to be able to grow. That's the only way that you're going to be able to scale, is if you show up physically. You have to be the one that's doing the work. You have to be the one that's doing the coaching, right? You have to be the one that's showing up. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make money. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to to grow your business. You don't want that, right? Because you're only one person and things happen. Life happens. And you need to be able to step away from your business if you need to, right? You can still be, present in your client's business. You can still be present with your clients, right? And still make an impact and still be accessible to them. It's just, you want to be more strategic and more intentional about it. And that's the beautiful thing when I think about the one to many business model, to incorporate into what you're currently doing one-on-one with your clients, because it gives you more freedom. It frees up your calendar. It gives you portions of your life back. And we're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode. But it's just so important that I feel like having a business that has one-on-ones and one-to-many offers is the balance that we all need, especially as small business owners or solopreneurs. That's a balance that we need. So just think about what we've talked about, right? The physical restraints that you're putting on yourself by building a business that is solely reliant on you. And in the next episode, we're going to be talking about how your business might be costing you something even deeper, which is your relationships. So, physical restraints, and then we're going to start talking about relationships. Honey, okay. So, look, it's time to kind of just step back. These episodes that I'm sharing with you in this series are to help you to start thinking about your business differently and thinking about what you want and need from your business differently. So I want to help you to build freedom and not fatigue. So yeah, that's it for this episode. And I'm going to see you in the next part of this series where we're going to be talking about relationships.